the offense change when Christian McCaffrey isn't on the field in terms of like the coverages you guys face?
I think they stayed pretty much the same. I think they had a plan for us, and the way that what they decided to do with Christian was just fine to keep doing going forward. I don't think it was something they would have had to change too much with, because they had a good plan, and it wasn't like it gave away much else, you know. So it's kind of a coverage they always play, and then whether they can help with Christian or not, you know, and that's a very general and broad statement, because there's a lot of different things that they can do, but it didn't change. I don't think a whole lot. Again, coverages and how they were handling Christian at that point. We weren't far enough into it for me to really be able to tell, but it didn't change much.
When he's not available, how much of it is a two-back approach or riding the hot hand? Like, how do you kind of balance that?
I think it still just goes back to, we knew who the next back in the game was. JP was going to be the next guy in the game, and then Elijah was going to play some. And then it is just a matter of, as you get a feel on how they're rolling, what we're doing, what we're trying to get done. They both have strengths and weaknesses, probably one a little bit towards the run, another a little bit towards the pass, and so you want to be able to balance that out. Hey, if it's becoming a throw game, it's becoming a run game, who's going to be on third down? Since Christian's not going to be, who's going to be on first and second? So that's more of it than the hot hand thing can go. Obviously, you guys feeling it and pounding up in there. That hot hand lasts, you give him about 3 carries in a row, and you're like, he needs to get out for a carry and put somebody else in. So it can go either way, but both guys, you kind of play to their strengths.
You guys had Zakel up this last game.
Yeah.
What prompted that?
Well, Banks had the, I'm trying to think now, it was the shoulder, at the end of the right shoulder at the end of the last game, and was questionable. I mean, and now he was fine last week. He went through practice. I don't think he practiced one day. The second day he did, and seemed to be great. But I was concerned. And all of a sudden, when you end up with Feliciano in the game, your backup center's playing, which means your backup center could then get hurt, and then your third center's more of an emergency plan. So this way we have 3 centers up, and maybe going forward as the season wears on and guys are dinged up, unless we're 100% healthy, that may be the way to go. But again, it depends on the tackle health, and then your tackle health is down, maybe we need 4 tackles, and so that's every week you have to evaluate it, and I think once there's an injury to one of the 2 spots, you have to lean heavier on that.
Chris, it's always when you watch these films that the defenses want to stop your guys' run game. Giants a couple weeks ago, heavy front, 6-man down, that kind of thing. Based on what you've seen from Minnesota on film, what do you expect to see? How will they be the same? Will they be different?
Yeah, the thing about the defenses today, a lot of defenses, and even Cleveland, who tends to be a pretty you kind of know what they're going to be in, changed up a little bit. These guys can do a lot of different things. The 6 on the line, the 5 on the line, 5 on the line on a nickel, 4 down nickel, still get 5 on the line, 4 down pressure. I mean, deep to short, where they line up deep and then they come down late into coverage, so you're not sure whether it's going to be a hard 8-man front or 7-man front or not. So these guys today, there's just a lot of different variations. And so however they've decided to stack up and try and stop your running game, that's what you have to see as the game progresses, because they have a lot of different ways to do it. Do I see them being a heavy 6-man line? I don't know. That's not what they've been to this point, but it doesn't mean they won't. Jim Schwartz, the story when we played Cleveland, when they played us when he was there as a consultant in Tennessee when we played them a couple years back. And the second half of that game, they played us nickel to our 21 personnel almost the whole game, and that is about what they did in this past game to us as well, for whatever the reasons they decided to do it. And you would think that wouldn't be as good a way to stop the run, but they had other reasons they felt to choose to get nickel to do it, and they did a nice job. So there's just, you don't know what it's going to be, and that's always the challenge every week. And with us, it's we do a lot, and we do a lot of different things that challenge, I think, defenses to be on point. Not to be on point; they have to be on point every week. But there's just a lot they have to cover with the motions and where we align the fullbacks, and so. How they're going to do that, how they decide within their scheme and package, it's really difficult always to see. So you have to get in the game and start rolling with it. And anymore, it's not that I don't think Kyle is ever like, oh, well, that's shocking, or that's what they're going to do to try to stop us. Here are the things that we go to. And that's been the good thing over time is, in 2019, I remember we had 99 snaps of nickel to 21 personnel. That was unheard of. In the 10 years, I don't think we probably had 99 snaps of nickel in the 10 years before 2019. And then all of a sudden that became a way to play us. For whatever the reasons, defenses decided to do it. And so then you have to start saying, okay, well, shoot, we have to adjust to this and start working on how we play nickel to 21. And that didn't used to be the way it was. And now it's become Nickel's a huge piece of everything, 21, 12, you see it all over the place.
Why is it an effective counter?
I don't know, effective or not. I think it's from a defensive perspective. It becomes things like, what coverages can you play? You have to cover Christian. I think it's coverage based as much as anything else. I don't think it has to do with formations. All of a sudden, when you're going to take fullbacks and halfbacks and line them outside and play them as receivers, some of your coverage adjustments may involve linebackers breaking the box, right? Well, what are we doing with that? Why not put a nickel back in the game and it fits more with these guys are more X's out there, spots on the field as opposed to a fullback, a tight end, and then the linebackers having to adjust. There's just a whole, and I'm not a defensive coach, but I think there's a whole lot that goes into it, and that's where I think the nickel becomes a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but it does. And then those nickel guys and those safeties have to be good in the run game because that's what you would think, they're going to give up a little bit in the run game. But shoot, if they're shooting their guns and in the gaps and playing hard, it's hard to block them as well.
All right.
League-wide trend is that defenses are rushing quarterbacks with smaller guys more and more, and the Vikings use this kid Metellus quite a bit off the nickel as a blitzer. How challenging is that for your guys to block smaller-bodied guys, nickel corners, that kind of thing?
Well, they are faster, so it does create an issue that if there's too much space, sometimes it's hard to get your hands on them. And then other times it becomes a matter of just if you do get your hands on them, they're easier to block because they don't have an array of pass rush moves usually. One of the best pass rushers ever was Charles Woodson, right? Not only was he a good rusher, not only was he, like you're talking about, these elusive fast guy, but he had moves. Like if you were a tackle, don't think you're just going to go out there and get your hands on this guy. He's going to beat you with a pass rush move, an arm over, a swim, a rip, or something like that. It's not going to get as much of that, but it is the space thing. A guard's out there and here's would normally be a linebacker coming at you. You're judging of when you come off a block to pick him up. It's a little bit different because the guy's faster. So it's a little bit of a challenge, a little less of a challenge than if you get my hands on him. It is, but it is. I think the littler guys blitzing or coming from different directions becomes a little bit more of a disguise. You're not expecting it type of thing, and that might be what's happening.
When you install the game plan this week with uncertainty at running back, does it make any difference as far as how you approach the week when Christian's?
I really don't think it does. I think that it's still you have to attack schematically first and foremost. Then you look at what's good schematically and you say, okay, these things are good schematically. Then who best suits it? And some things could be good schematically that aren't great, or maybe better suited for Christian. But at the end of the day, you're still going to try and attack the defense as best you see and try and take advantage of the scheme, what they present and what's the best runs against the best defenses.
If Trent's not ready to go, Jalen Moore, I don't think has started since last year. He did Carolina and Atlanta when Trent was down. How can you tell how much he's progressed since then and if he's ready?
Well, there's things, every single player through the course of the season and the off season, there's things that you focus to work on, and you see whether that guy's working on and improving on those things in practice. The good thing for Jalen is he has had a lot of work when Trent had his vet days during camp and doesn't play in the preseason. So Jalen does get to play, and you get to see if he's progressed, and we think Jalen has progressed. You've heard me say it here a lot that you don't know till you play in the games exactly how far, but he has improved on some things. It's been good to watch him do that, and hope that if he does get pressed into duty again on Sunday or Monday night, then we'll be able to see some improvement.
Did the Browns react differently to what you thought you were going to get, their safeties, to some of the motions that you got? And if so, what was the adjustment?
Well, there's always what they show on tape, and then they showed a little bit of all of it, and then all of a sudden they decide they're going to do something in our game, and then they do that something. So maybe it's a little bit different. At the end of the day, you just roll with it, and you know what it is because you've seen it before. It's just you don't know, For example, we could practice a little bit of all of it because you think, they could do this, they might do this. They've usually done this, but with us, they could. It's always a guessing game. So when you get in there, it's something we've seen before, something we did work on, and something that during the game was not a huge adjustment, but just something we had to inform everybody. Hey, guys, we practiced this all week. We thought it would be more of this, and it ended up being something else.
You said the other night that he stayed in the game because he didn't want to put that pressure on Jalen to go against Myles Garrett. What is that fine line of kind of doing what's best for the team and also saving Trent from himself?
I just think it comes back to you check with the training staff and they determine whether the injury, they can do testing and things to see if the injury is such that you can play. Then you put it back on the player, say, hey, it appears that you're strong enough, the ankle's good enough condition. He's like, okay, and then you say to the player, okay, go out and do it. He goes out there and you keep an eye on him and you say, doesn't look good, or it does look good, or it looks okay, and you check with the player, say, how you doing? I'm doing fine. It's getting a little like this. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I can do it. Then as the coach, eventually you may have to make the decision, say, he's doing well enough to stay in the game or he's not. So it's a group decision, and ultimately it comes back to the player on the field. And Trent was very conscious of it, because if you go back to, I don't remember when we played the Rams in the championship game, what year that was, and he played on the high ankle sprain. Post game, he said, I probably should have let Colton play that game. So he was aware of that, understanding that he could do what he could do. But I've been with plenty of players before that same thing. They've had an injury, they felt a certain way, not 100%, but not so much that they would stay out of a game. They've played a lot of games in that condition, and so they know whether they can do it or not. You have to trust them, and then the more you have a relationship with the player, the more you can then say, yeah, I got you, but you need to come stand on the sideline with me.